Hello, everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I hope you're all doing very, very well. Welcome to another episode. I say another one. Welcome to an episode of the Blue Balls podcast with myself, Kev, and Charlie as well. This is a show that we did run quite a bit. Not was it? Yeah, we did run it last season, but it was a pre-recorded show. So we decided that we were going to change it. We were going to make it a live show, and that way we could do longer shows, interact with you guys, and a little bit more chilled out as well. So let us know in the comments if you prefer it this way, or maybe you prefer it pre-recorded. I mean, it's all preference, isn't it? But listen, we're going to be talking about everything. We've got plenty of time to go through all the talking points as well. I know, Kev, you've got to go too, but me and Charlie will hang about. Yeah, we're just going to go from there. But I mean, boys, how is everything?
Yeah, all right. Yeah, I mean that's about it, really. Yeah, it's all right, mate. We obviously got the win Monday. We've chatted about that before, but yeah, no, it's all good, mate. Window's done. Focus on the football. FA Cup Saturday. So yeah, no, I'm good, mate. I'm good.
I said to you, I said to Rachel earlier. I said, yeah, I can't. I can't wear something that isn't Chelsea, and I've just seen you with the Al Nassr top, and I'm thinking maybe I should stick the Reading shirt on now.
Yeah, mate. It's at the end of the mate. I'll never wear another Premier League top. I'll never wear another Premier League club's top, but other clubs outside of that, mate. It's Ronaldo though, so I don't really care.
It's true, innit? You wouldn't get too much stick for an Al Nassr. Have you got any Al Hilal shirts rocking around or anything like that?
Mate, I do have a Neymar one, but
you've got an Al Hilal one as well.
Yeah, well, Neymar one when he went there, but it's obviously yeah, that move didn't work out too well, so that one's just stuck away, mate. Doesn't really come out too often.
That's fair enough. I presume you bought that when you were in Saudi.
No, mate. I bought that like when he first went, but obviously I waited for it to get half price and then bought it.
Fair enough. Kev, how's everything with you, mate?
I'm good. I'm currently down with mum and dad's. I had to come down and sort some stuff out down here. So yeah, it's all good, man. Not been the best of stuff the last few weeks of Chelsea, but we're in the top four. We're in the FA Cup, in the Conference League. So let's see how things materialise going into the second half of the season. But yeah, I'm sure we'll touch up on a lot of stuff that's been happening in the last few weeks, which are not good. But yeah, right now as we stand, if the season was to finish tomorrow, we'd all be happy with top four. So we are where we need to be.
It's true. It's true. Big up to Joseph in the chat as well. I hope you're doing well, mate. Guys, the way this show's going to work is honestly totally different to the other ones. Just think of it as a much more chilled out. So whatever you want to talk about, we can talk about. But obviously, we're going to touch on everything as well regarding the club. One of the big pieces of news that come out yesterday was actually about the ownership. And you know, you have to give credit to Johnny. I said this on the pod, Charlie. I spoke to Johnny before the game. He is, if I'm not wrong, the reason that this come out. I'm sure it is. I saw a video that he did with Eunice, and it was all about Todd Bowley and Vivid Seats.
That's been going for ages, though.
I never knew anything about it, though. I mean, this never became big public information, you know, that was mainstream news until this week, though. I mean, before that, I'd never heard of it at all. I mean, maybe you knew about it before.
I didn't know of the exact website, but like that's been happening all season, and that website would have been going well before this season as well. So I don't know what's happened to bring it to light suddenly this week. But yeah, that's not like a new thing that's just suddenly appeared. That's been going on for ages. Like, reselling sites have existed for a long time now.
Yeah. I mean, do you not think that? Oh, go on, Kev. Go on.
Yeah, but to get to when you consider it's your actual owner who's actually got the site, who's extorting fans, just goes to show about the person and the people that are running the club. So if he's going to extort people thousands of pounds for tickets, what do you think he's going to do with Chelsea? it's just going to be the same thing. And this is what's happening now. People are getting priced out. There's literally no point having a membership. You pay your £35 for membership, you're not going to get a ticket. So he's collecting £35 for all these fans. What for? Just for him to sell tickets to people in America for 3, 4, 5 grand. So it's just a money thing for him. And yeah, like you said, fair play for Johnny for bringing it out and bringing it to light. And we all got to talk about this. And I'm happy that fans are coming together and making a stance against it all and bringing banners and etc. Because it's us fans that are going to feel it. Like for me personally, if I never had yourself, Alex, I wouldn't be able to get a ticket to go to the games. Like, so what about people that haven't got the links who want to go and support their club? People that can't afford a season ticket. It's literally football's been priced out, and it's all for the lining of other people's pockets, bro. So these topics need to be talked about more because, as I'm aware, Bowley and the rest of them, they don't like bad press. So the more we pump it out there and give fans that don't know about topics like this the information, maybe it's going to bring us all together to start protesting more, because this stuff can't be happening, mate. You know, low fans that have been going, like say for instance, my dad's been going 50 years, and there's fans that have been going that can't afford to go because they're getting priced out. And this is not fair, mate. Football is a working man sport, always has been. But up until now, mate, the Americans have come taking over, and it's now for the rich. So this can't happen, mate.
What I would say, just quickly, agreed. This is not just Chelsea, by the way. This is for all Premier League clubs.
Any better?
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't make it any better. But just obviously, I know Bowley's the headline, and it's a massive conflict of interests when you've got a co-owner of a Premier League club involved that co-owns a website that is unauthorized resale of tickets for which is exploiting fan loyalty, etc., etc. But it's not just for Chelsea matches, by the way. This affects all Premier League clubs. This affects every single fan that goes to whatever game they go to every single weekend. And it's just massively disappointing, you know, regardless of how involved he is, it's his name is on that website. That's part of it, you know, co-owner. Co-owner is a big thing. Like, it's not like, obviously he's co-owner at Chelsea, but he's got a very small minority in the club. Whereas in this website, I mean, a website can't be a big thing. No, co-owner is pretty big. And so Bowley is good at communicating with the fans. He speaks way more than Egg Barley does. I would expect that he would have the decency and is being advised to come out and speak about this and put a stop to it, because it's not on. But what's even worse though than this is that the reason they get away with it is because you've got people that are stupid enough to pay those prices. Like that's why it works, because people are paying it as well. Why are people paying thousands of pounds to go to a football match? Why?
Yeah, but it's not your normal working citizen. Apparently, it's a lot of people from the States and Asia.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So think about it. They're over on a holiday in England touring. They will pay anything for a ticket.
Premier League football is a tourist attraction now. We have to accept, right? That Premier League football is a tourist attraction. Now, that doesn't mean that tourists should have to pay through the roof. I haven't got an issue with tourists coming to Premier League games. That's life. That's the thing. When something's popular, people are going to want to come to England and watch Premier League games. It's like when you go on holiday, you go somewhere because you want to see a certain thing. Like that. That's not an issue. But what is an issue is that now, obviously, a lot of the fans that have been going for years and years, match goers, sort of born and bred fans, are being priced out of going, and they're being replaced by tourists, people that are wealthy that aren't really Chelsea fans. They just want to see a Premier League game. And so that in turn then affects the atmosphere massively. You know, we've all been to games and you see people there that, you know, they don't know the songs. They're just there to drop a bag in the fucking club shop and then, you know, have a nice day out or whatever. Like that to ownership is more important, because your fans that have been going for years and years and years and go every single week, they're not really spending much money at the ground. They want people to be there that are going to go and spend loads of money in the club shop, then going to go and buy food and drinks and that in the concourse and whatnot. Those fans serve more of a purpose to them than what your regular match goers would, because they're contributing far more money to the football club.
Yeah.
Even
This is
even
the
if you
thing,
look
though.
at
This
season tickets, Kev, you look at
Yeah.
the raises on price. So my season ticket was $7.50. It got pushed up. They said they were going to push it up by 5%. They actually pushed it up by 8%. They pushed it up to $8.10, right? But that $8.10, you have fans coming over from America. Vivid Seat is an American ticket reselling site. It's not European. And you have fans that are paying, for example, Liverpool, £17,000. One of the tickets is going for the last game of the season. I don't care where you're sitting, what you're doing. You could be in a box and you shouldn't pay 17 grand. It's extortionate.
17 grand.
That's where the Telegraph. That's what they used as their hook. They said Tom Bowley,
or 17,000 pounds.
Yeah, 17,000. That's like
17 grand.
That's not all. It's not all of them, but like that's.
But that's one of the more expensive ones.
Well,
but that doesn't make it right.
Listen, if Tom Bowley can get 17,000 pounds for a ticket for a 90-minute match, he's a smart businessman, and I have to accept that. You have to accept it.
It's not about being a smart. It's not about being a smart businessman. That's where the protests come out. And I know people laugh about it because it wasn't. It wasn't massively.
It was 20 people that went
viral.
The protest thing.
It was stop exploiting loyalty. That's the problem.
That's all well and good, right? And I fully agree with it. The issue is that, like, unless it was the Super League thing, which was a universal thing, like a few people doing a protest outside Stamford Bridge is going to do fuck all in the grand scheme of things. You've got to find a way where, because this is not just a Chelsea thing, by the way. This affects all Premier League clubs. So you need to get fan bases or supporters groups and the fan trust or whatever from these clubs to come together and actually, take a powerful stance. People always talk about, don't go to the games and whatnot. Fine. If you don't go to the games, someone else will. There's always going to be people in the stadium. Even if match going fans stop going, other people will go. Like, you're never going to get an empty seat protest. So, like, it's good that this has been raised. It's an important issue, but people need to realise that, it's going to take far more than a few people outside a football ground with a banner to change anything. It's great that it's in the public now, but just because it's out there, that can very quickly disappear. How many times do you hear about things? Oh, it's mentioned for a few days, and then by the end of the week, it's gone, and no one really mentions it again. Like, momentum with these things is so important. If you've got to do it at every single game around the country, whether it's a Liverpool match, whether you're going to a Forest game or whatever game you're going to, you need to do it. Doing it at one game in a season is not doing anything in the grand scheme of things. So, like, there needs to be a stronger message as a collective from all the Premier League clubs. And this is where the Premier League themselves need to come out and say something, because this is directly to do with them as well. This is the Premier League products. And so, like, those authorities need to come and clamp down on it and do something about this. It shouldn't be up to the fans. In reality, can't do anything about it themselves. It's been raised, it's out in the open now, and now it's up to the relevant authorities to deal with it. But loyalty's been exposed for so long. It's not just reselling tickets. TV companies as well. Kickoff times. Like, look at how many different kickoff times there are now. Like this coming up Saturday, 8:00 in the FA Cup, Brighton away, dog shit. Next Friday, 8 p.m. kickoff in the Premier League, away, dog shit. Fans are just exploited, right, for TV companies because they want like a prime time slot. Where's the consideration to how are they getting back? There's no trains back. You got to stay somewhere. You got to try and get a lift or whatever. You get back in the early hours of the morning. Without the fans, there's no football and there's no product. And yet, season in, season out, fans are just treated more and more like pieces of shit.
I mean, it is getting worse and worse and worse. I mean, we spoke about Wolves on Christmas Eve, but I don't remember having as many fixtures that I just can't get home from. I mean, Brighton, you're absolutely right, Charlie. I am staying there because if you don't stay, unless you're nipping off and getting a cab or something like that, it's impossible. And there's no point having the hassle, especially if you've got work the next day in the morning or whatever it is. So I completely agree on that point. And just to give you guys that are watching, for those of you who are just joining as well, this is where a lot of it's coming from. Todd Bowley's Vivid Seat involvement sparks fury. among Chelsea fans. Now, there is an article on the Telegraph as well, but unfortunately, I'm not subscribed to it.
Mate, you should paywall remover, mate.
Yeah, I should have something like that, to be fair. But I mean, it is bad. It is bad. I mean, we've spoken just about exploiting loyalty in football as a whole. But if this was the Glazers, you'd have uproar from United. If this was Liverpool's owners, you'd have outroar there. So the fact that it's Chelsea's owners, I ran through the clubs yesterday in the Premier League, and I'll ask you this question later down the line. After I've gone through this, but just think to yourself, how many of the clubs in the Premier League care about money more than what we're seeing at the moment, based on the speed in which everything is changing? United, they were took over from the Glazers and they still had success for a period. They still won a couple of Premier Leagues. They had Ferguson at the time. Their downfall has obviously been quite obvious, but I wouldn't say it's been a quick downfall. I'd say it's been quite slow. Even if you look at Liverpool, their ticket prices, they never spend any money, but they're a very well-run club. And to be fair, if you run a club like that and you're top of the table, it's very hard to complain as a fan. Yeah. But we're in a situation where we went from winning the Champions League to finishing 12th to finishing 6th. We then went into the January window, and instead of getting better, we got worse. But I'll just quickly go through the article. It says Premier League club Chelsea co-owner Todd Boehly's involvement in Vivid Seats has provoked fury among Chelsea supporters due to the site's unauthorized resale of tickets to foreign tourists. According to Ben Robsbury of the London Telegraph, Vivid Seats is a second marketplace in which Boehly is an investor and a director. It does not allow UK-based fans to buy or sell tickets, a practice which would be illegal. However, it does permit foreign-based users to tout tickets for up to tens of thousands of pounds, on which it charges 10% commission and a service fee to run from 20 to 40% of the original ticket price. And that raises the prospect of Boehly profiting from a practice his own club has repeatedly denounced. A fan said, "The fact that our owner could be benefiting personally at the expense of loyal supporters is hypocritical at best and downright dishonest at worst." Rumsbury noticed there are tickets advertised on Vivid Seats, that what appears to be this season's remaining matches of every Premier League club. The resale of football tickets was made a criminal offence in 1994, and the proliferation of foreign-based websites selling them raises questions about whether the law is fit for purpose.
Well, the law clearly isn't fit for purpose. Like, if it's supposedly illegal, like people do it. People have been doing it every week, all the time. Like that law clearly isn't fit for purpose and does nothing.
Well, at least when you got fans touting tickets, like I'm not going to sit here and say I've never sold a ticket to a tout, I've never bought a ticket from a tout. We've all been there when we've needed to get rid of a ticket or buy a ticket. Everyone's done it. I mean, I haven't done it for 6-7 years. It's been a while, but I remember I went to Derby versus Aston Villa when Lampard was the manager, and I had a spare ticket, and I sold it. It was a good ticket as well. It was about 150 quid, and I sold it for about 100. I wanted to get some money for it. It was a waste. And a guy come and sit next to me, a Korean guy, and I was like, "Oh, can I see your ticket, mate?" And he had the ticket that I sold. How much did you buy that for? He paid 500 quid for the ticket, mate. So it's not good, is it, in that sense? But at the end of the day, if people want to go and buy these tickets and they've got the money to do it, they will do it.
People always buy the
critical, isn't it, when you've got the club being able to do one thing and then you're prosecuting fans for something else?
Yeah, I just believe that it's the ticket law will change. I think now the Premier League and the authorities at the top, they'll start clocking onto it. And I think it'll be a name on the ticket kind of basis thing. So you probably have to end up showing your ID, showing your ticket, and if it doesn't match, you won't get in. That's the way it will go because of these people. They've ruined it for everybody. So I think people like myself or Charlie, I don't know if you got a season ticket, Charlie.
No.
Yeah, so people like myself have got season tickets or haven't got enough loyalty points to go on the actual website and get into this virtual waiting room. I think all that will get evaporated. and it'll go to basically show you ID, show you ticket. If it doesn't match, you're not getting in. So loyal fans like myself have been going for how many years? We won't be able to go to games, and it's down to, and this is the reason being is because of people like Tab Bowley and him lying in his pocket. He's going to ruin it for everyone else. So I can see why the fans are a bit worried about it, but all the time will tell. But from a business perspective, and for everybody else, I've sold tickets for more than what I've gotten for before. A lot of people do it, but that's the way it goes. But I'm sure things will start changing in the near future.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not so. I don't think people should be touting tickets. Full stop. I do think it's good to.
But how do you stop that though?
Well, you can't stop it, but the problem is,
like I said, they'll start doing ID on the door, or when we went to Man City,
I'm talking about fans, Kev. I mean,
yeah.
You can't stop fans doing it. I mean, if they get caught, they get caught.
Like, what's stopping? Like, for example, what's stopping? How do you stop one of us from buying a ticket for say 50, 60 quid, and then selling it for 500 quid? How? You can't stop that.
If it's all done in good faith and confidence, and people don't, speak to the stewards or whatever, then it's going to happen, isn't it? And it does happen. Of course, it happens.
Yeah,
it
happens every week, every ground.
Yeah. Chelsea v Burnley. This is like when Higuain scored. This is years ago. So me and my mate went down. We had 3 tickets, two, one for me and him. We had a spare ticket, and this Chinese man is waiting. He was round the Chelsea. I was just waiting. Tickets. And he come up to us. He's like, "Oh, you got a ticket?" I said, "I have got a ticket." He said, "How much?" Me as a person I am, I told him £50. Yeah, I could have got a lot more. I knew I could have. Because he looked like he had a suit and everything. I could have probably
got more than 50 quid for it, didn't you, Kev?
Yeah, I did, but I'm not going to say exact price. But yeah, yeah. My reputation is at stake here. Yeah, the way he
add another zero to that.
I could have got probably 4-figure digits for that number. I know I could have. But
God.
These things happen, brother. If people want to pay that money, all to them. If they want to, you know what I mean. But it's just the way it goes, mate.
Oh my goodness. Let's touch on some of the comments, guys. Let's touch on oh goodness. You made me laugh, Kev. Big up to Joseph. I hope you're doing well, mate. He's got a question. Is Nkunku going to Man U?
No.
What player we bought from France? I think that's quite an easy one, guys.
Matisse Mugu from St Etienne.
Yeah, we're not going to see Nkunku go to Man United unless you have any other thoughts, Kev.
No, I don't think. I think he'll go back to Germany. I'm sure Bayern Munich's they agreed personal terms with him. That's what I'm hearing. But obviously, we decided to get rid of Felix instead. So I think in the summer there may be a move there, but only time will tell.
Can you believe that Felix scored on his AC Milan debut?
Yeah, but Felix always scores on his debut, mate. That's what he does, and then does fuck all for the rest of the time.
Yeah, honestly, and from what it seems, they really want to keep him, Milan. They really want to keep him. And to be fair, I think it's probably not a bad deal from their side. I mean,
mate, he'll probably decide that after, if he signs for Milan in the summer, get to next January, he'll probably decide he wants to go somewhere else. That's just what he is. The guy can't settle anywhere. He's like that kid at school that would be like moving schools like every fucking term. That's basically what Felix is.
He's basically the new Alvaro Morata. He'll go from Spain to England, back to Italy, and back round again. He's just
telling you now, right? By the time Felix is 25, give it till he's 27, 28. The guy will be in Turkey, 100%.
Yeah.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Morata's at Galatasaray.
Yeah, he is at Galatasaray now. Yeah. You know what it is, though, right? You have some players that they don't necessarily play, and Nkunku is probably a good example of this. He's still professional enough to, get on with it. But I do feel like Felix makes a real fuss. He might not speak to the cameras per se.
He wanted to leave as well, by the way.
Yeah, but you can see it like with his agent and stuff. I don't think you had that with Nkunku either. They're open to going, but they're not actually pushing to leave. The guy's been here 6 months, and I just think that, I don't know, if that's the kind of loyalty we're looking at, which I do think that you have with other players. Fofana is an example. He was looking at going to Marseille and then almost bragged about the fact that he didn't go. Hang on a second, mate. You were negotiating with them in the first place. That doesn't mean you're loyal.
No, it wasn't negotiating with them. They phoned him up and asked him.
But he considered the move.
Yeah, sure, he considered it.
If you have any loyalty,
why shouldn't you consider?
Because you have loyalty to the club. You're a professional.
Loyalty in football is a myth. It is an absolute myth.
Well, it's a myth to the majority, but there are players out there.
But this is the thing, right? Because fans do this, right? And they talk about loyalty, and they think that like players have a loyalty to a club. It's a job at the end of the day. Like if you want to go and play somewhere else, why do you have to show loyalty to the club?
Don't call it loyalty then.
That's fine.
Call it professionalism.
But why is it unprofessional to want to go and play somewhere else?
It's unprofessional to speak to another club where you're already employed.
Oh, mate, but that happens all the time. Everyone's doing that.
Well, it's not good. It's not good, mate. It's not good at all.
It's not good at all. Like, do you want to think that like conversations aren't taking place between players and clubs all the time?
I don't agree with it. I don't agree with it. And you know what? I am going to be biased and say that it's better for some players to do it than others because other players deserve to have that right. Ruben Loftus-Cheek was a great example of a player that you almost wanted him to move on for the best of his career. And I completely respect that. But when you got a guy like Fofana or a guy like João Felix, they can't do anything at a club for more than 6 months before getting injured or not even having any game time in the first place. For me, that doesn't constitute.
JT spoke with Man City. There was a point when JT was quite close to going to Manchester City. You wouldn't say that he wasn't loyal, would you?
Yeah, but it's different, Charlie. It's different.
As I said, it's different though, because it's the same thing. He's having conversations with another team.
When did he speak with Man City?
I thought he did. When
you can't compare John Terry.
But you can.
Felix.
So, in terms of you're saying that Fofana was not loyal because he had conversations with Marseille.
Unprofessional, unprofessional, mate.
So it was JT. So is it unprofessional? So any
when
footballer?
Did he do it, Charlie? When did he do it?
Oh, I think 2009 or 2000 early, like sort of 2009, maybe 2010. Lampard also spoke with Inter Milan when Jose was there. Like players do things. Players have conversations. You know, you listen to things.
I don't agree with it, Charlie. I don't agree with it at all, mate. I've got to say that, and that's fair enough. People, as I said, people are entitled. Steven Gerrard spoke to us, but he was ever the professional. Is
it disloyal, right? Is it disloyal or unprofessional, right? If Kev's in his job.
Hold on. John Terry and Frank Lampard. It's just not the same bracket.
So if Kev's in his current job now, right? And he speaks to another employer whilst he's currently employed in his current job.
How long has he worked there for?
A year.
Is he performing well?
Yeah. Is it unprofessional for him to speak to another employer?
Does he turn up to work every day, or is he sick?
No, he's there. He's there. He's doing his thing.
I'm always on the sick road.
Is it unprofessional? Is it unprofessional when you're employed to speak to other employers? No, it's not.
If you're in Kev's case and you turn up to work regularly, you're doing a great job, you're part of the starting group every week, you're the one who's in charge of picking up the phone or whatever you're doing, then I don't think it's as bad. My problem is when you're a bum and then you act like you're not a bum. That's my problem. So if you can't even start in the first place, if you're not even contributing much in the first place, and then you're acting like you have this opportunity to move and you're this great player, that's like, come on, mate. And that's how I feel about Wesley Fofana, because he's a bum. He's never available. And that's how I feel about João Felix, because he thought that he was so good that he was going to start ahead of Cole Palmer. I mean, that's just fantastic, mate. Like, fair enough, Maresca could have handled him better. But I'm sorry, if you have any faith in your own ability, you will stick around and fight for your place. He's got no. Mate, it is unprofessional. I can't imagine that.
I wouldn't call it unprofessional. He just doesn't have patience, or he doesn't believe in his ability. At the end of the day, that's the reality. I think that's different from being unprofessional. I think
it's
Felix
poor quality, whatever it is, whatever you want to call it. It's not good quality, is it, Charlie? You don't want players like that.
It's not.
You can't tell me you want that in your team.
No. I agree. I agree. It's someone that obviously doesn't back himself to make an impact. It's 6 months. Look, if he'd been here 2 seasons and it was this situation, fair enough. But the fact that you've just joined, you've signed a 7-year contract, and then 6 months later, when things aren't really going your way, or you're not playing as much, instead of thinking I'm going to work double hard now, going to get my head down and work and try and get some opportunities, you want to fuck off after 6 months because you think it's the best solution. It's like, mate, if you've been here 2 years, fair enough.
No,
but you've been here 6 months. Come on.
But yeah, and this is the thing, though. I don't think the door's open for return now.
I don't think
was very skeptical about. No. And I was very skeptical about the idea of signing him anyway for 45 million on a 7-year contract, when you could have probably put an extra £30 million and got a guy chorus, got a proper striker. And this is goals. And it's not Joe Felix's fault. The questions need to be asked to the people that are buying the players. You see what I'm trying to say? He wanted to leave Atletico Madrid, but here we come with the money and give him a 7-year contract. When we all know there's 2 players in front of him in that position, in Nkunku and Palmer. He's not going to start in front of Jackson. So why are you going out signing these players in the first place? I can't blame Joe Felix for wanting to get in out. It's not his fault. It's the people that are making the transfers. So the door's going to be slammed shut in his face. I don't think he'll come back to Chelsea. But when it comes to summer, he's going to fork out the money, because I'm sure we're not going to want to take a loss on him as well. Because
you're not getting 45 million quid for him in the summer. No chance.
So you're going to take an L. So we're going to take L. Take another L for him. Plus
unless you send him out on another loan to then inflate his value based on performances.
So basically, you've just put £45 million for 6 months in a player, and you've got probably £5 million back from a lot. So what is the point?
But that's where there needs to be accountability higher up in terms of sporting directors. How is it possibly acceptable, right, and just sort of brushed under the carpet, that a player that you signed for £45 million in the summer, 7-year contract, and then 6 months later he leaves? How is that deemed as okay? 3 players we signed in the summer for about £100 million: Vega, Felix, Dewsbury Hall. 6 months later, all 3 of those guys were available for sale, and 2 of them left. Where's the accountability? How is that That is unacceptable. I don't care how you paint it. That is unacceptable. That 3 players you signed 6 months ago on long-term contracts, you're open to getting rid of them 6 months later. There needs to be some accountability for that, and heads have to roll. Where's the responsibility and the accountability? No one takes responsibility or accountability for anything at this football club.
The ownership obviously deserve criticism because they lay out the system that they want to implement. But also, you could have people in that system that are implementing it a lot better than what we're seeing at the moment, because I'm not saying we are, Brian, but we've taken that model, haven't we? We really have. That model of signing young players, building them up. Not necessarily. I mean, I say that we are paying inflated transfer fees quite a lot of the time. But even if you had got more of those right, you could have got another good midfielder for 30-odd million instead of Dewsbury Hall. And as you said, Kev, you could have got a striker instead of spending 45 million on Joao Felix. The thing is, though, how long do we have to wait before things need to change? And is it even enough to change the sporting directors at this point? Because part of the thought process I've got is we spent all this money, and now we're in a situation where actually we don't have as much money as we thought we would have, because we're not in the Champions League. We're in a situation where if we don't qualify, we're really going to be in the mud here. And I refer back to Arsenal. I refer back to Tottenham. When you come out of the Champions League for a sustained number of years, it's not impossible. It's so difficult to get back in there. And you see how hard Aston Villa are pushing to maintain what they're doing, the business that they've done. City spending over 200 million, and we've moved backwards. And it's very difficult to see any form of ambition. And like we said in the studio, Charlie, how long do you neglect the present before it really comes back to bite you?
Yeah, no, it does, mate. The recruitment strategy is there's been some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. When you're like giving a critique, you've got to be balanced and fair. Otherwise, your point completely falls down. There has been some good stuff. Don't get me wrong. But on the balance, when you look at it, the majority of the signings have not worked out, or the players are simply not of a good enough quality. And when I look at what we're doing, right, with Chelsea, it always seems to be one extreme or the other. It's like under Roman, it was big name stars, money. Let's just sign the best that's
Probably
available.
the best.
Sometimes worked, sometimes didn't. Now, instead of having a combination of doing that and youth, we've now gone to the opposite end of the scale where it's literally youth, young talent. And that if you chuck enough shit at the wall, some of it's going to work. And that's what we're doing. We're just throwing stuff at the wall and hoping some things will stick. And it's not working. There's a reason. I was discussing this yesterday. There's a reason, right, why when you look across the history of football, there's a reason why no one has won anything doing this approach that we're taking now. So why does this ownership think that they can be the exception to the rule? What are they seeing, or what are they thinking that they think that we're going to be the exception to the rule? Like what we're doing here by accumulating all these young players, not only are you stifling their development because they're not all going to get the minutes that they need to develop, but you're creating a bottleneck effect because at the end of the day, you're signing all these players, some will play, some won't, and then you're capping their potential, and then eventually they get loaned out for a few years and then they just get flipped on. So why there seems to be, I haven't got an issue per se with the actual theory behind the idea, but you've got to combine that with some winning know-how and some experienced players. And there's a total reluctance to do that, which is going to be our downfall.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting as well. Yes, looking at the ownership, Underdogs United, the NBA is trumped the football world on deadline day. I think they're talking about what's his name, Luka Doncic.
Luka Doncic swapped with Dallas Mavericks, the Lakers for Anthony Davis.
So I think that's what he's referring to there. It was a bit of a shit window, wasn't it? Kendra,
understatement.
I mean, especially from a Chelsea perspective. Kendra says, "Here's hoping this is no longer needed after other revenue paths are open, shirt sponsor, Champions League stadium plans, etc." In fact, I'll ask you guys this. I mean, what's your take on what was I just about to say? On the stadium? Because the Suns were outside the bridge when they were doing that protest, and I've actually had I'm very much on the fence. I was pro stadium move, but after listening to some of the stuff that Johnny said, and I spoke with Johnny after the game, I have to admit he's persuaded me to look at the other side of it, which is if you move stadiums, who's to say that the prices won't be just as high as they would have been with a smaller stadium anyway, just taking the piss because you got an extra 20,000 seats. Also, on top of that, you have the monopoly effect of the real estate that was once owned by Chelsea will now be owned by Blueco. It won't be an asset for Chelsea anymore. They'll sell that on for a massive profit. That's billions right there. Not billions, but hundreds and hundreds of millions, maybe even more. I don't know. It's prime real estate, essentially. So if they sell that, that's not money coming into the club. That doesn't help the club. All of our assets are stripped. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They've all been stripped, and it's been painted as a PSR genius move. But actually, when you look at the revenues that these hotels are making, all these other companies that have been taken away from the club and bought out, this is money that's going directly into the ownership's pocket. Not to mention, if we relocated, the CPO, unless there was something negotiated, would have no power in a new location. And that gives the ownership the right to do whatever they want, however they see fit, without having any resistance whatsoever, which I think is quite scary.
Yeah, not knowing them, they'll probably move the fucking stadium to America.
Well, I don't know.
It makes sense. Like, I'll be honest. I look, we all love Stamford Bridge, right? But if we're being real, football's evolved. We are a big football club. We haven't got a stadium befitting of our status. Regardless of us struggling right now, we have got the worst stadium in the top six. Etihad's better than us. Old Trafford's better. Emirates is better. Spurs is better. St James's Park is better. Villa Park is arguably better. We have to be honest here. We love Stamford Bridge. Great memories, great history, and it's a historical location. It's iconic. We are left behind in terms of a stadium. Now, people talk
There's
about
teams in
revenue.
there's teams in the Championship that got better stadiums than us. Sunderland being
like,
one.
they do, bro. And this is what
Win the
people don't
Channel.
realise, right? Is that
Sunderland.
football, Stadium of Light. Football evolves, right? You've got to move with the times. And for me, people talk about revenue, and revenue's important, by the way. It might not be to fans, but to a football club, revenue is important. Stamford Bridge, we're missing out on probably an extra 20,000 minimum ticket sale revenue. You know, that's worth millions to the club. You know, not only that, we are being left behind. We're being left behind.
It's not that. Maybe you're missing my point here. So I agree with that. We're on the same page. The point is, when you look at the other side of the story, which is, would you move location to then be in a position where these owners have full control? You have nothing. The CPO is the only thing that keeps Chelsea fans.
Why couldn't you just transfer the CPO?
Well, that's another conversation, and that could happen.
Yeah, exactly. So
there's certainly a possibility that doesn't happen.
Sure, but there's a possibility it could happen as well.
I mean, if you look at the club's communications with the Chelsea Supporters Trust, for example, it's pretty, I don't know how to say it. It's not great. You know, that there's not exactly a willingness to listen from the club side. So I do think that it's important that Chelsea fans understand that the CPO is more important than, especially the American ones. I mean, I don't expect them to understand, but the Chelsea pitch owners is such a unique thing, such a beautiful thing. How many clubs in world football have what we have? And you want to just throw it away? Let's just say we wanted to relocate somewhere else other than Earls Court.
Who's saying they do want to throw it away?
Well, the owners certainly do. Of course they do. They want full control.
No, sure, but that's an opinion, though. No one
that's
is
not an opinion. That's a fact.
Well,
if you were an owner, would you want to be in a position where you're
but it's not a fact. What I'm saying is, though, like, have they come out and said they want to get rid of it?
No, but it's obvious,
no,
Charlie.
Regardless of whether it's obvious or not, right? I don't think we can be in a position where we're saying they want to do this, where they haven't said it and there's no evidence to suggest they do want to do it.
Well, the evidence is there's clear evidence. Hang on a second. There's clear evidence. The evidence is you'll get an extra 15 acres at Earls Court. You'll get an extra 20,000 seats, and you can sell the club for more money. You'll have real estate that you can do whatever you want with, and you'll make more money. That's the evidence. We are owned by a hedge fund. That is what hedge funds do.
Yeah, what I'm saying is
they buy something and then they create more money using that to then pay off their investors.
Yeah, sure. But what I'm saying is that no one, it's not a guarantee that the pitch owner agreement, if we did move stadiums, wouldn't be moved over. Like you're saying, you're speaking it from it of a point of view as if that's a guarantee and that's going to happen. I'm not saying it is. I'm not saying it's not going to happen, because it could happen. But I think we also have to be fair and say there's a chance that actually the agreement could be moved over. And you know, I think we have to be fair and balanced in that respect. Whether you like these guys or not, look, I've criticised them a lot, but I think we have to be fair, in my opinion, when we're talking about these things. And, you know, when we're speaking in absolutes, there has to be like concrete evidence that something is going to happen. Now, I haven't got a problem with you thinking they might do that, because look, they could well do that. And there's obviously massive upsides, which you correctly point out. There's huge upsides to that. But for me personally, I just think that's to be a little bit fair in terms of balance and say, look, do you know what? There's a chance that they could come to an agreement with the pitch owners, and they could move it there.
When you talk about evidence, when you see what they've done over the last couple of years with them buying the hotel and with them buying the training ground and trying to buy the area around Stamford Bridge, you can see where it's going already. So I can see where Alex is coming from, because the evidence is more or less there to suggest that what's to say they're not going to do it? If they've done it with other assets with the club already, why would they do it with another stadium? You know what I'm saying? You can clearly see what these owners are about, can't you? You can clearly see that they're looking to sell stuff, buy assets, sell them on for more. This is what they're going to do. So you don't need concrete evidence when they've already done stuff similar to what they're trying to achieve already. You can see where I'm coming from, yeah?
Yeah, no, I get that, but I think anyway, regardless of all this stadium stuff, the chances of Chelsea being in a new stadium in the next 5 years is probably virtually zero. So
No, I don't think it'll happen.
It's something that, well, regardless of whether it's a new site or if it's a redevelopment of Stamford Bridge, I think we'd be lucky if we get any real movement on it until within the next 5 years. I don't think so. But I like, in terms of whether we should be moving or not, the reality is, because of the unique location we're in at Stamford Bridge, you're limited in your capacity to how much you can actually do at this current site. Now, the reason why I don't mind the Earl's Court move, if it was possible, is because, one, you've got a big site there. You've got, obviously, you can get 60,000 or however many 65 or whatever they're looking at. But the biggest thing is, it doesn't change the match day experience for anyone. The match day experience is exactly the same. You can still go to the same pubs. You can still meet up in the same places. Like Earl's Court, Stamford Bridge, 10-minute walk, 15 minutes walk max. Maybe it's one stop earlier on the tube. Where the match day experience is the same.
Yeah.
It's the same. So like that's not going to change. And another reason why I wouldn't be against Earl's Court, right, is whilst that's being built, you can still continue to play at Stamford Bridge. The reason why I would be against the Stamford Bridge development, unless it was a stand-by-stand thing like Liverpool did, but then you're reducing the capacity of the stadium for matches throughout the season, is that I don't think any of us want a situation where we're playing matches at Wembley for 3 or 4 or 5 years, because it's soulless. I think we want to try and avoid a situation like that.
No, that's fair. I mean, that I agree with that. I do agree with that. I just think there's a bigger game at play, which is unfortunate, because I don't really want to have to think that way. But I think that's sort of been made very clear over the past week. Some of the things that are happening, and timing is everything. Of course it is. If Chelsea were playing really, really well, we wouldn't be having these conversations. It is to do with our form as well as the business that we've done. But we want transparency, don't we? We want to know what's going on. We want to feel like we're moving in the right direction, especially in the summer, when I personally thought we had a good window at that time, with Sancho and Neto and Toss. I thought it was good business. In fact, if you look at those 3 signings, for example, I don't think it's bad business. But is it ambitious enough? Is it enough? And that's the question. What is the motivation here? Now, there's other people who say if we get Champions League football, then you're going to see what these owners really want to do. But if you have any ambition, you get into the Champions League in the first place and there's no problems. Why do you have to scrape it by the skin of your teeth? Why is it that we're now coming out of January? Maresca's come out and said publicly he's happy because we've trimmed the squad.
He has to say that.
No, that's the thing, though, isn't it? Do you believe what Maresca's saying? I think there's aspects of that which are true, because you want to have a happy squad. You want a dressing room that's together. But at the same time, we weren't able to bring João Felix on against West Ham. We weren't able to have different options. With Chukwuemeka potentially being available, we can't replace Cucurella with Vega anymore. So you've stripped a manager of his assets. You've stripped him of his arsenal, and now he's against the wall, and he's got to find different solutions, which is why you're seeing Nkunku on the left side. That's one of his solutions. It's a bit worrying for me. I'm not going to lie to you, but I hope we can push on. I mean, Slot does it with Liverpool, didn't he? I mean, he took over a team, didn't spend any money. But it's a different situation, isn't it?
That's a title-winning team.
Yeah.
And now we're in a situation where we need to build a winning mentality from players that have never won, from a manager that's never won. I mean, irrespective of where he was with Guardiola, what did he do? He won the championship at Leicester. It's very difficult to have a real faith in what you're seeing. Although I do like Maresca. I think he's a good gaffer. Yeah. I've got nothing against him, but they haven't made it easy for him. I mean, I would argue that you could have Poch and you'd be in a similar position. What was the point? What was but you've got, it's true, Kev, it's true. As I said, I like Maresca. You've got players that
black and white.
Get rid of Disassi.
What I would say,
tactically it's black and white with Maresca and
agree.
Pochettino.
What I'd also say is though, is that it's not everyone, but a large majority of people do not hold the same energy when talking about Maresca as they did with Pochettino. Could you imagine, right, if we were on a run of 1 win in 7, 2 wins in 8 under Poch, how different the conversation would be around the manager? Now, I'm not saying that we should be hammering Maresca, by the way. I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is that if you're going to be critical about one person for doing something, you need to bring that same level of criticism to the next one. It can't just be, oh, it's a problem because Pochettino's 1 win in 7. But when it's Maresca, you don't really say anything about it. That's where people fall down for me with their opinions, is that you don't bring the same energy to each argument. And that's where I lose, not respect, but I lose belief in what people are saying, because you lack credibility when you've bought so much energy for one person and then the same situation for someone else, you're not bringing that same energy.
Well, it's understanding the basis of football, though. Tactically, we are a different beast. There's clear patterns of play within a team. Obviously, as well as that, you got to think what he's been given in the signings that he's been given in pre-season. Look where they're at now. Like you said, 3 of them was up for sale straight away. So he hasn't been given the tools to succeed.
I agree.
He's still doing a good job. Yeah. If he had got backed better in the summer with like-for-like players, I believe would be close to Liverpool, because we proved back at the start of the season that we could go on a consistent run. He's proved to us fans already that there is a consistent team there. But when you look at the squad depth, that's what started to the cracks started appearing near the Everton game, where we needed depth and the top players looked tired. Caicedo, Enzo looked tired. The team needed a bit more depth. So most fans understand that it's not the manager's fault. It's the people that were signing these players that haven't backed him. And I think if he was better backed, we would have been close to Liverpool.
Yeah, I think that's fair. It's absolutely fair. I think you can say that, yes, he's obviously got to improve and he will improve. But at the end of the day, let's see how it pans out at the end of the season. But he has been let down by the directors in terms of not being given what he asked for and what is ultimately required. You look at the squad now, as we touched on, it is worse. It's worse than it was when we started this January window. We ended with a worse squad. And the second biggest issue for me is that the teams we're competing with improved their squads. City added to their squad, spent money, 4 players coming in. Villa improved their squad. Okay, Newcastle didn't really make any signings, but their team is good. So 2 of the 3 teams we're competing with improved their squads. Newcastle stayed the same and ours got worse. How is that helping us finish the top 4? It's not.
Yeah,
it's true. It's true.
So can we point the finger at Maresca? No, we can't. So I think it's a total.
Well, look, there's different ways you can look at it.
You can point it a little bit.
You're right, Charlie. You've got to look at it from the same lens, same energy and all of that stuff. I mean, can we not agree that Maresca has a better squad than Poch had last season?
Yeah, I think
he does.
So.
He has a better
apart from Thiago Silva coming out from last season, that's probably.
Yeah, I would say. I would agree. It's a marginally better squad.
It is.
I mean, I think it's a lot better. Not to mention the fact that
you've got to look in contrast. Where was we last season compared to now? I think we was probably 11th or 12th last year. We're in the top 4 now. So
where did we come from the year before?
Sorry?
Where did we come from the year before?
What, 12?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's quite difficult to finish in the top 4 when you were 12. I would say that's harder than coming from 6th to 4th. And I'm not criticizing Maresca. I'm just saying that's the reality. And that's why I had patience with Poch, because he was coming from a more difficult scenario. He was. It's just, I mean, we have so much more stability now than a year ago. We just do. And we're still a very unstable club. We're not very stable, but we are much more stable than we ever were. I mean, that 2-year period was absolute carnage. And now we're in a situation where we've settled down a little bit, but we still struggle to see that ambition. But listen, I really hope we can see something. Just a point on ticket sales, guys, is an interesting point here. EPL Turf says tickets being so cheap is the reason that people are making money by reselling it. What's your?
They're not cheap. I mean, I think EPL Turf might be not from UK potentially, but like
I think he is from America. He said in the US tickets.
US ticket prices, by the way, Americans might not think it, but US ticket prices are, mate, they're ridiculous, absolutely through the roof. So yeah, I mean, look, it is expensive here, by the way. Don't get me wrong, it's expensive, but you know, when you see American ticket prices for American sports, you're like, wow, how are people affording to go to American sports events?
You have to make serious, but I mean, they've got serious money in America, so it's,
not everyone does.
No, but as a general, like, it's the money capital of the world, isn't it? You've got a lot of rich people, so they end up paying it, don't they? I remember I looked at because I quite like watching baseball, so I was up to date with the Dodgers when they won the World Series, but I just looked for fun. I was like, oh, I wonder what it would be to buy a season ticket for the Dodgers. It was extortionate.
How much was it?
I can't remember, but it was thousands. It was much
10?
more than you know, you can get cheaper ones. You can get cheaper ones. You can get it for, you know, $5,000. But I mean, considering I pay 800 at Chelsea, you're looking at a 5x minimum. It's you know, it does open your eyes, doesn't it? But yeah. Let's see what else we're saying. Luke Mudway says, wouldn't surprise me that the first window scared them or scarred them when they got Koulibaly, Sterling, etc. Experience on good money, and now they're stuck with Sterling.
What I just quickly want to say on that window, by the way, plan was good. The plan was good. Execution perhaps not so good. The idea, that's the kind of level of player and sort of age range and experience you want to be targeting. I just think the execution wasn't quite there. But now we've just gone from that window to a completely different model where we don't sign any players like this. And that's what I'm saying, right? When people talk about, you know, I would rather Bowley bought out Egbali if it's possible, because I think if it was down to Todd, this is my personal opinion, is that he would actually sign more experienced players. He wouldn't deviate completely away from the youth recruitment model, but he would sign more experienced players. You look at what he does at the Dodgers, they bring in big stars. I think there's that Japanese geezer they signed on a ridiculous contract. Like,
the biggest sporting contract in the world.
Yeah, this is what I mean. Like, so this, all right, whilst this doesn't look great on reflection, this is the sort of window we should be looking to replicate in terms of kind of age, experience of player. And that's why, for me, I would rather be Todd in more in charge than Egbali, because I think he would actually do that, because he's shown that with the Dodgers, they do that as well. So I would rather him for that reason. I think if he was there, you would see a lot less, not a lot less, but less youth players would come in, and there would be more experience.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you look at his track record. Again, it doesn't take away from Vivid Seats, because that is concerning. But he is someone that, like all of them, they will make money. But I would trust him over Clearlake based on the fact that he's been successful with the Dodgers. He's involved with the Lakers. And they show ambition. They do show ambition. And, you know, looking at Major League Baseball, for example, people take the piss and they go, well, they've only won 2 World Series since he's been involved in about 10 years, I think. It's harder to win the World Series than it is to win the Premier League. There's 10 extra teams. So the competition is twice as hard, not to mention the fact that you've got other owners that are also trying to compete and win. You generate a lot of money irrespective of what team you own in America. That's the nice thing about owning one of those teams, is you have that stability. You know you're not going to get relegated or miss out on European football like you would in England. But it doesn't take away from the fact that, you know, if we're going to pay stupid ticket prices and have all these problems, it's still concerning. But Kev, listen, you got 1 minute, mate. What did you want to say before you've got to go? Because I know you've got work.
Well, we just got to remain positive in the moment. And
Fuck
No,
off.
no. Yeah. No. This is me speaking from the heart. Like I said, if the season was to end in 1 hour's time, we would be happy where we are. But
True.
Speaking from now to the end of the season, top four has got to be taken. And with the signings made and the players going out and the planning everything else in January, who's going to be accountable for it? So let's not get worried yet. But I feel like if we don't get top four, it's time to take action because we don't want to be seeing our team going through another transfer window like the last two. So yeah, just bear that in mind.
What kind of action, Kev? Just before you go.
I've said it in the last show. I've said it before. Protest. We've got to take it. We've got to take our club back. We've got to show these owners that this model is not working, and we need to get back to what we were 3 years ago. So I'm not saying go and trash down for Bridgeport. A healthy protest and letting the board members know what we want. We are the fans. We are the most important part of the club. So we deserve better. So I feel like if that top four, we need to take a stance and start getting these board members to think more smartly with their money.
Big up to you, Kev. You have a good one at work, mate. Smash the like button, guys, as well. If you haven't already, do it for Kev.
Please.
Let's get to 75 likes for Kev. If you don't get 75 likes, then Kev can't go to work.
I've got to, like I said, I've got to get the money in the bro, so I've got to go, unfortunately. But yeah, man, peace out, Charlie. Peace out, Alex. I'll speak to you soon. Love, boys.
Have a good one, mate. Yeah, so look, we'll finish off with a little Q&A with the chat, if that's all right, Charlie.
Mate,
and then
you're in charge. Don't need to run it by me.
I know. It's a bit weird. I'm still not used to all this streaming. I mean, I've done quite a few this year, but you've been doing it for 2-3 years now, mate. You've been. I said this to Rachel. I went, it's not about streaming for 3 hours. You just got to do a stream every day, and that's what Charlie does.
Yeah, I'll try and put content out every day. If there's not enough news, I'll do a video. If there is enough news, I'll go live.
Mate, you do very well.
There's something on the channel every day.
It's beautiful, mate. It's beautiful, and that's what people want. They want the consistency. So big up to you, man. I know it's difficult streaming all the time. I mean, God, how many hours of streaming do you say you do a week, based on other channels as well, mate?
I don't really know. I mean, transfer window was mad. I was doing like hour 15, hour and a half every single day of transfer window, bar 2. That's just on my own channel. And then, yeah, I don't know. I reckon I'll probably do maybe 10 or 15 hours a week.
That's not too bad, but it's still good though, man. It's a couple hours a day.
Yeah.
And you're working like me. So
well, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Like
if I could do it full time, I'd obviously do a lot more and it would be a bit easier. But we're not quite there yet.
No, it's all good. Right, let's see what the chat's saying, guys. What's this? Dwayne's. I think Dwayne's talking to me. How dare you call the players
talking to me.
bum? I think you're calling it bum. Players are just humans. We all say things and do things we're not supposed to. Bro, I've been listening to your stream. Well, big up for listening to the stream, Dwayne.
You've been warned, mate.
I can't remember what was I saying when I was referring to players as bums.
No, I can't remember.
I think I saw about Poch last season. He was working with bums or something like that. But I mean, if you compared it to this season, then I think you could probably agree, guys. We look better than we did last year. I think the players are more competent. We've got better players. I think Thiago Silva was probably the only one. You could bring Petrovic into the conversation, but that was our own doing. So, can't really say too much because he is still a Chelsea player. But no, I stand by what I said. I think that Poch had an absolute nightmare last year. But not to say Maresca's not going to have a difficult time in January because he clearly didn't enjoy it. He said he didn't enjoy coaching us during that period. We've trimmed the squad down. Now apparently he's happy. But will he be happy when Cole Palmer gets injured and he hasn't got a number 10? And you have to rely on Nkunku. Will he be happy when Cucurella gets injured? Will he be smiling if Caicedo goes on the floor and there's a problem? So these are my concerns, but it's totally fair that people can look at it the other way. Team CFC says the only way Felix stays is if Maresca isn't here. Can you see that ever happening, Charlie?
Well, mate, it's Chelsea. You can never say never.
Mate,
I would love to say that he's definitely going to be here next season, but I can't sit here and say that I've got 100% confidence that he will be here.
Even if we don't finish in the top 4, Maresca shouldn't be sacked.
He shouldn't be sacked, no. But I wouldn't. I can't rule that out.
If he is sacked and the sporting directors aren't, that's a disgrace, and there will be protests. Because that's not good enough. Joseph says we need to beat Brighton on Saturday in the FA Cup. Absolutely. Do you have any score predictions for that one, Charlie?
Well, all I want to say is please don't go to extra time and penalties, so I want to go home.
Is there extra time in that one?
No, there's no replays anymore.
Oh, wow.
It's a result on the night. So, guys, if anyone at Chelsea's listening, get this done in 90 so I can get home at a respectable time. That'd be appreciated.
Mate, if it's not done in 90, then you're not getting home.
No, I will, but it's actually trains past midnight. There's actually trains past midnight, so we're good.
Oh, to be fair, you're going straight into London, so you're okay.
1 hour, mate. Yeah, job done.
If you don't live in London, if you have to go to Reading like me,
you're fucked. Yeah,
big trouble, mate. Big trouble. I was looking at the trains. You got to get Falmer to Brighton.
Yeah,
and then you got to go Brighton to Clapham to then get.
Oh yeah. Forget that
mate.
bullshit. Yeah, forget that.
So we're just going to do our fan cams and we've got a 5-minute cab to Brighton or something like that. I was like, oh, can we just walk? It's an hour walk. I was like, fair enough.
Fuck me. How could a 5-minute drive be an hour walk?
It's on the motorway. If I'm not, it's on some sort of main road. So yeah, just going to get an Uber or a taxi, get into the hotel, upload everything, and then we got studio at 10 o'clock on the Sunday, don't we? So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Very ambitious, Joseph. Do you think we'll win the Premier League next year?
Absolutely not. I'm that confident that if we do win the Premier League, I'll do a naked show.
Yes, I will be there. We will be there. Don't know why I was so enthusiastic about
that. You were well keen for that.
Oh, mate.
No, we're not going to win the Premier League next year.
I'll tell you, if you do a naked stream, I don't think Al Nassr will want you wearing their shirts anymore.
No, well, I wouldn't be wearing it anyway.
That is true.
No chance for me. No chance.
We did have the conversation this season, though. I mean, if we made the right signings, is it viable? Is there a challenge based on the fact that we get top 4? That seems like the natural progression.
If we make the right signings in the summer, then there's potential to challenge, but we're not winning.
No, I'm with you on that one. We've already read that one. This summer, Clearlake must answer these open-ended questions. Which questions have you got, Michael? Or are they the questions that we already spoke about?
I think probably just about stadium, ticket thing. I guess just general club stuff.
Yeah, let us know in the chat, and we'll answer them directly, Michael. If Earl's Court was possible, then surely it's the best situation, providing the owners are clear with the plan.
Yeah, agreed.
But well, I'm with you, but again, I'm not. Whatever they say, you have to take it with a pinch of salt. You know, they set up a fan advisory board. Are they listening to fans? Do they really care about what fans have to say? Is that why they brought in Chris Jurasek? You know, is that why they made all these decisions? And I know he's gone now, but I don't know.
He was about 5 minutes.
But that's what I mean. I'm like, do you really care about the fan? They're not going to communicate with us. You know, we talk about this. We haven't been given many club briefs. The most communication we've had is through Bloomberg and Forbes, not through Chelsea. We've had communication through third parties, and they weren't even directly speaking to fans in the first place. They were speaking to investors. That's the language, guys. It's how do you turn something into something that's worth twice the value, or make a profit on it? When you look at the way these owners speak, I mean, it's difficult to take anything seriously, and the sporting directors as well. I mean, I saw a tweet, Charlie. You might have seen the same thing. I think it was Lewis or someone They're trying to take credit for the January transfer window.
Oh, mate, they always do this. This always happens, mate. These lot are so shameless. They pat themselves on the back. They got relegated. Does
that work? It's ridiculous,
they're
mate.
Just
it's
doing
ridiculous.
They're just doing this saving face PR BS that like is so see-through now. Like they think we're idiots. Maybe some fans are or whatever. But I mean, like, guys, come on, just be honest. Stop the bullshit.
I suppose the question then is, what are they supposed to say? You're not going to say, well, we know it was a rubbish window. But
no, just don't say anything.
Yeah. I mean, we keep hearing that we've been preparing to sign players in the summer now. We're laying the groundwork.
Mate,
foundations are there.
All these buzzwords, leading the race, groundwork, monitoring, interest in, assessing, weighing up. Can we just stop with the bullshit buzzwords? We did fuck all. End of story.
Yeah.
And if we did lay groundwork, let's see come the summer how much of that groundwork actually worked.
It's true. Santos is going to be coming back to Chelsea, and then what's the name of the new signing? Amugu. Amugu is going to be going the other way to Strasbourg. I've seen a few highlight reels of him. He looks very similar to Lavia. Not too different. He's not a goal scorer. He's not a creator. I think he's only been involved, Charlie, this season. If we're looking at St Etienne as a whole, I went through this yesterday. 17 games, but they're not all starts either. Some of those games are like 4 minutes against Lyon. Yeah. So you'd say maybe 14, 13, if you include just starts with more than 45 minutes. People are saying this is a good deal. I saw Don in the chat. He said that he thinks he's going to be a good player. I don't see how this is a bargain. I don't see it. I don't see where this is paid for us.
I get it. Like, people want to sort of speak positively about things and and whatnot. You don't want to be negative about new signings, but mate, we've been down this road so many times before. I hope the kid does well. I want the kid to do well. I hope he contributes. The reality is, let's be honest here. He might make a handful of appearances over the second half of the season. He'll go to Strasbourg and, he might spend a season on loan there. He might do 2 seasons there. He might go elsewhere. Bro, this guy's not having a career at Chelsea. I promise you now. This guy's not better than Santos, not better than Lavia, not better than Enzo, not better than Caicedo. So how's he getting in?
But even still, when you look at it, his market value is 4.7 million euros. And we spent 12 million on him. So I'm struggling to see even the business side of things.
Well, what they'll say is that we sold Casadei for 15 million euros, and then we spent that money, well, not all of that money, but some of that money to bring Amugu in. So actually, from a business perspective, they've sold a player for 15 million euros and bought another one in for just under it.
Well, I mean, they haven't made any money initially off Casadei, but they will when he gets resold by Torino with the 25% clause. But yeah, I mean, big up to him. I hope he does well at Strasbourg. I mean, they've been unhappy as well, Charlie. I don't know if you've seen, I can't remember the name. Keller? Is that the name of the...
Of who?
I don't know, what's his name? Strasbourg president. I'll share my screen with you.
Oh, I don't know the Strasbourg president.
Okay, here we go. Strasbourg's president makes call for unity amid continued anti-Blue Code protests. Strasbourg supporters hold banners hostile to the new owner of the club, reading, losing executives, deplorable strategy, only one person to blame, Blue Code during the French Liga football match between Strasbourg and Stade Brestois at the Stade de Mer, blah, blah, blah. So the president is Mark Keller. He has leaped to the defense of the owners amid the continued protest against the club's owners and the multi-club model. Do you know about this, Charlie?
What, the multi-club model?
No, about the protests. So basically, at the first, well, I'll go through.
I know they've done it. I know they did protests either last season or not done some earlier this season as well. But I'm not really. How recent is this? Recent.
This is recent. This is January, mate. This is January.
Oh yeah, there it is. Yeah, Jan 27th. Yeah, fair.
Recent. Strasbourg's ultras have remained silent for the first 15 minutes of every match, whether it's home or away. Despite the club's strong form in recent weeks, they're ninth, and they're undefeated in their last 8 games in all competitions.
I did lose last night.
Yeah. So basically, the president has said that they got to have unity. Our players who are exemplary on the pitch deserve the unconditional support for our fans from the first minute. And the same thing happened with Liam Rosnier. He said, "When we're united, we can move mountains." And he basically said that the talented group deserved to be supported from the opening minutes. So Strasbourg, they don't even sing for the first 15 minutes. They wait until after that point, and then they start making noise as well. We saw something similar in Italy with Milan. They were silent for 45, or maybe a little bit less, and then they started making noise. And that was in protest to ticket prices in Italy. So it's not just Chelsea; it's all around the board with Bluecoat.
No, it is. Yeah, I don't know what they're hoping to achieve. I'm not sure anything's going to change there.
Well, I mean, you have to admit, Charlie, based on what we've spoken about, and we all know that the owners want positive PR, protests damage their image.
Sure,
it doesn't help what they're trying to do. If it continues to go this way, then I don't know what it does. I don't really know what it does from a business perspective. I don't think that Strasbourg have any power like Chelsea do with the CPO or anything like that. But if they're able to make their voices heard, then that's something. It's better than we've done. I mean, you saw our protest. About 10 people turned up for that.
You may get one man and his dog.
Oh, mate! In the summer, I couldn't even get anyone. I made that video, didn't I? Outside Stamford Bridge.
There's no one there, mate.
Where are you guys?
Where are you?
Not that I criticize it, because everyone's entitled to protest.
Yeah,
but if you
do something,
tweet about it, then come on, then.
Exactly.
I don't understand. It's all talk,
mate. Just all empty noise.
Let's have a look. NFL season tickets are costing you a couple grand minimum for the seat license, which is just the right to buy the seat. Then another few grand for the tickets.
Yeah, that's nasty work.
How the fuck does that work?
That's nasty work, mate.
Hang on a sec. The right to buy the seat. So what is that?
The license for the seat, and then you have to. That's then just your right to potentially get that seat, and then you got to spend more money on the tickets on top of that.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
it's interesting. That. Yeah, so you're American Chelsea FC enjoyer, but give you an idea. I mean, actually, we will say Chelsea are very generous over the years with their tickets. We froze our season ticket prices for 15 years. So our tickets were stuck at $7.50, and this is not dollars; it's pounds. So slightly higher in dollars, and that would have been £40 a match for 15 years, which is fantastic when you look at it from Abramovich's perspective. But even when you look at the small increase in prices that Clearlake have put on those season tickets, it looks very generous to that sense compared to what you got in America. But you go around the stadium, and you can see in the background of the screen, you've got the shed, and then you've got the West Stand on the right. Those prices have doubled.
But that's hospitality, though, isn't it?
No, it's not all hospitality, Charlie. Some of
it,
not
all of it. No, not all of it. No.
They're nice seats. They've got some of them are padded seats, if that's hospitality. I've been upstairs to the West View a couple of times. I like the West View, to be fair, but it is full of tourists. There's no atmosphere.
This goes back to the atmosphere issue. Is that when essentially 2 stands, half the stadium is, well, not quite half the stadium, is what, 1, 2, it is half the stadium pretty much. When you got half the stadium that's like hospitality and corporate, and then you're wondering why it's a shit atmosphere. Yeah,
that's the problem, isn't it? But yeah, I mean, you've got people that were paying 2-3 grand in Westview who are now being asked to pay 5 or 6.
But people will pay that. That's
Well, some people will, but it's taking a liberty, Charlie, isn't it? Because
of course it is.
you look at our side, and we have to put up with a small incremental increase, and it is understandable. We're not dealing with 100%, 200% increases. We're talking about 5-8%. It's a massive margin. So they're trying to keep, obviously, us on side as season ticket holders in the MHL, but at the same time, it's ridiculous. Why can't they be the same to everyone? I know they've got to increase their profits, but those last seasons,
ticket prices ticket prices are a difficult thing, right? Because it's not just the Chelsea thing. Ticket prices going up everywhere. It's I don't know how you stop that. What can you just say? Look, we're not going to. Ticket prices are just going to remain how they are. We're going to try and find, alternative revenue elsewhere. I wonder, if you get a bigger stadium, keep the ticket prices the same. I don't know, but I'm not sure how you really come to a situation where, I'm not saying they'll increase every single season, but there is going to be some form of increase going on, regardless of what people think.
Yeah. Big up to SV5. Thank you so much for the positive comment, guys. Smash the like button if you haven't already. I don't even know how many likes we're on. Get to 60, get to 70, whatever it is. If you haven't smashed the like button, it does show us that you're enjoying the content, and we will continue to go from there. Ryan says, Alex, how did you find it chatting to Minerals on Monday? I thought it was a good chat. I haven't got a problem with Johnny. And Johnny doesn't, I don't think Johnny has a problem with me because, well, I won't go into details, but I'm one of the only people, bigger channels, if you compare it to some of the others, unlike some of them who pride themselves on being in the industry, making money. I had to pay my way to be involved in this. So I don't think Johnny has a problem with me for that reason. But no, it was a good chat. He told me his perspective. I have to admit, he persuaded me. I agree with a lot of what he says. I don't agree with everything. I do think that, looking at the whole ownership and saying you're, not good for the club. I think we're stuck with investors. To be totally honest with you, the question is who's the best one. And if I had to pick between Egg Barley and Bowley, I would probably go Bowley.
Yeah.
To which he would then say that's a disgrace. Bowley's killing our club. He'll do anything for pound notes. And it's fair enough. Like he's not wrong, is he? If it's
but do you know what? Why are business people criticised for making money?
Well, because we know why. Because it's a football club, and you're killing your community.
This is where people fall down. Right? Is that a football club is a business at the end of the day?
Well, that's the sad reality of it. But we've been so used to having an owner that cares.
Yeah. It's a business investment, but Roman was unique. You're never going to get one person ownership anymore. It's always going to be a consortium of people. You
say that, Charlie. Some of the teams in the league, I looked at this yesterday. Some of the teams, their owners aren't actually that bad. And I was referencing it yesterday. I mean, you look at Liverpool, money driven. Arsenal, fair enough. Who else could you look at? Fulham, fair enough. Brighton, very well run clubs. I probably wouldn't put them in that bracket because their fan is a Brighton. Their owner is a Brighton fan. Brentford, probably the same. Palace, similar. United, fair enough. Tottenham, Everton, Wolves. So there are a lot of money driven ownerships, but Nottingham Forest is owned by an individual. Newcastle and City aren't driven by money. They're driven by politics.
Newcastle and City are state-owned, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's politics, isn't it? Well, especially Newcastle, that's politics. City, maybe not so much. It's to bring awareness to Saudi and places like that. That's why they play all their pre-season games and have, Etihad shirt sponsors and things like that. Villa, I wouldn't say are driven by money. Bournemouth, they have a great owner who is American. Who actually wants to be successful. So there are ownerships out there.
Sure. It's not. Yeah.
It's not all bad. I guess the question you'd ask is where are we on the list of owners that care about money? Would you put us above the likes of FSG, for example, with Liverpool?
Well, I don't know enough about other ownerships and enough detail to really know.
Well, you can look at it from the perspective of how they've done with the clubs that they've run. Do they spend any money? Do they take money out? For example, the Glazers take dividends every couple of years or something like that. I think they're probably the worst out of the bunch. But FSG are very stable. So, I wouldn't mind being in a situation we're in if we were successful. But we're not.
Sure. No, I get that. I get that.
Right, guys, we're gonna probably wrap up in a second. We'll have a couple more questions and then we'll finish off there. We'll give you a couple more, Charlie, mate. Do you think that we can finish top 4 and win the Conference League?
I think we win the Conference League. I don't think we finish top 4, no.
No? Where do you think we finish?
5th.
I'm with you on that. I agree. Why can't Maresca not figure out how to get Nkunku, Palmer and Jackson all on the pitch together?
It's to do with balance. He always talks about balance of the team. But the only way you fit in Nkunku, Palmer and Jackson all on the same team is if you shift Palmer to the right and play Jackson as a 10. Not Jackson, sorry, Nkunku as a 10. That's the only way that works.
I'm not even against the idea. I don't know why we tried Palmer on the right. He's played his best football on the right. He's been good this season, but he's actually had a lot of games where he's gone missing.
But Maresca's point is, though, that like with an overlapping fullback, right, or underlapping or whatever you want to call it, Palmer naturally drifts into that number 10 role anyway. So that's why he just plays in there. That's his justification for it.
I disagree with that, man. I disagree with it because if you're on the right wing, it's harder to man mark. You find yourself in more spaces in the 10. You're surrounded. And we've seen it in a number of games. When we're against a low block, we've got a player who is able to unlock teams, but he's just as good at unlocking them on the right as he is in the middle. And you've got a player like Madueke who's not consistent. We talk about attitude problems, defensive work rate as well, which has improved. But Palmer has a good defensive work rate. He works really hard.
Yeah.
I don't see why, you can't have him on the wing and expect him to do defensive work. And then we know we can produce the goods as well. On top of that, you play Nkunku in his preferred position, more creativity, and you still have Jackson there to do the legwork, but he's got a bit more support.
Yeah. No, I wouldn't be against it either.
Who else? Milani says, bring back Petrovic. I'm with you on that. Yusuf says, Guiu or Jackson for the next couple of games. I'm going Guiu. Mark Guiu.
It'll be Jackson. I'd be very surprised if Guiu started in any of the next 2 games.
But who do you want to start?
I'll probably stick with Jackson still. I think Guiu's probably more impactful from the bench at this point. But Guiu should be featuring for sure.
I'd feel like he deserves to start. I feel like Jackson also not deserves to, actually does deserve to be benched. But I think sometimes you just need a couple of games out of the limelight, reset, go again. And that could be the best thing because I feel like he's just been run to the ground.
Well, he is. We haven't got anyone else, and that comes back to our dog shit squad building.
Yeah. So I would like to see Guiu being given a chance. I think it will happen as well. I think we'll see Guiu in the cup. That's this one, isn't it? The cup.
Yes, Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah, that's this one. So I think Guiu will be given minutes. The only thing that I hope doesn't happen, which you said earlier, Charlie, please don't play Robert Sanchez.
No, yeah.
He's our cup keeper now. So,
well, I hope so. Well, yeah.
If he actually plays, I mean,
it's gonna be a problem. Yeah, it'll be a problem.
Oh, mate. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap up there. Appreciate you all watching. Smash the like button if you haven't already. We're going to have another show at 8:00 today. Who's doing that show? Is it me?
You? I think it's you, mate.
It is me. I'll be doing a show at 8:00, going through all of the latest news on top of that. Big up to everyone that's been tuned in as well. Appreciate your time. Charlie, thank you so much, mate.
All good, mate.
No worries. For the rest of the day, you just working now?
Yeah, I've got a little bit of work to do, and that's about it, I think.
Fair enough, buddy. Well, listen, mate, appreciate your time.
All good, mate.
We will catch up very, very soon. All the best, guys, and enjoy the rest of your day.